separates people who access extraordinary opportunities from those who don't. Today, we are diving into how daily habits compound into massive influence, how rejection and curiosity propels growth, and why one new thing every day might be the simplest path to an extraordinary life. Now, we are kicking off season 9, where we're focusing on strengthening workplace culture. I'm going to introduce our guest to you in just a moment. But before I do, I want to mention one thing before we start. I mentioned it last week, but I'm going to be mentioning it a couple more times. This fall, my TowerScope Leadership Academy is kicking off a new program, the Strategic Leadership Resiliency Fellows Program, specifically tailored to develop the hard skills muscles to navigate today's uncertainty and disruption. There's going to be 2 options we're offering. One is the Anti-Burnout Lab. It is a half-day workshop on October 9th from 12 to 5 Eastern Standard Time, focused on getting grounded, mitigating burnout, and finding resilience. The second is the longer, more comprehensive program. It's called the Strategic Leadership Resilience Accelerator. And it's a more comprehensive 5-week program from October 16th through November 20th from 4 to 6 Eastern Standard Time. It's focused on learning everything in my strategic leadership pathway model in order to go from grounded to growth, navigating complex environments, team dynamics, and culture change. Or you can get the bundle for less. So to access them, you need to get on my newsletter at gotowerscope.com, or you can follow me on LinkedIn at Miro Brancu, where I'm going to be posting about it for the next few weeks. And registration starts now. It ends September 29th. So first come, first serve also. Okay. All right. Let me introduce our guest today, Nguyen, and he goes by Ha. He has interviewed over 1,200 experts across 83 countries, a project that he and his wife started in 2021. And he also helps senior leaders lead with clarity, influence, and purpose, and build trust that drives transformation. As the founder of helloNEWNESS, I love that name, Ha brings the insights needed to help leaders unlock the world of hidden possibilities and opportunities and expand their ability to think strategically and intentionally. So I'm super, super excited to have you here, Ha.
Me too. Sorry for the technical issue from my end. So hello, Mira. I'm excited to join your program, and also excited for the potential people that will join your 2 programs in Q4 of this year. I share those programs to my network so that the people who listen to our program will be able to join your program and learn from Mira also. Okay.
Oh, thank you. You are so kind. Ha has invited me, by the way, to 2 of his projects where he interviewed various folks. We talked about wisdom. We talked about, thinking. And I really enjoyed the time with him and his wife, Vivian. He's an exceptional interviewer. You can tell that he's a good listener and really dives deep. So I'm hoping to offer back the experience that he offered me through those interviews. So let's talk about kind of the time before you started all of these interviews, right? You and your wife were starting to get together, and you personally each faced some cultural challenges when you first started out together. Share with us what, before all of these interviews, what are those cultural challenges that you were navigating, that you learned from, that gave you insights?
Mira, thanks a lot for bring back my wife and I stories, right? And so for our audience, for your audience there, I was born in the middle of a country, Vietnam. So in the small city called Da Nang City, and it's very poor community there. And I came to the US in 2001 as an international student, and there's very handful of Vietnamese went to the US by that time as international students, right? And my wife, she came from the south end of the countries, where it's a big city, financial city called Ho Chi Minh City, and her family immigrated to the U.S. long ago after the war between the U.S. and Vietnam. So they left the country. They didn't have a good experience on the good feelings about the country and all the people coming from Vietnam, right? And the second part of that is my wife is Chinese Vietnamese, and in back then the tradition, the culture is for Chinese females to get married with Chinese men, and so it's when I met her, we got into a very challenging situation from her family, and at the same time she got into the very challenging situation with my family also, because my family wanted me to come back to Vietnam or get married to a Vietnamese person. I kind of think the culture cope like that, right? So so we sat down at a beautiful sunset evening, and then I asked Vivian, I say, okay, we have only one life to live, right? So if we cannot make the decision for ourselves today, what guarantee us going to be able to make our own decisions in the upcoming years? So if we can take the risk now, and we can join together to accept those challenges that are going to come in after with that decisions, then probably life is going to give us some lessons that worth exploring. So those are the first milestone for us to get into our relationships, and later on it build foundation for us to embrace the challenges along the way. And when we got into the journey of interviewing people around the world, it's the same thing, same principle. So we only have one life to live. So what if what the worst thing's gonna happen if we start the program, right? Yeah.
Amazing, amazing. And so I believe now you both live in Vietnam, right? And that's actually, audience, by the way, I'm in the US and he's calling from, he's coming in from from Vietnam, 11 hours away. So how did you make that decision that, because that was part of what her family didn't want of her, right? To go back to Vietnam. How did you make that decision? And more importantly, um, how did you navigate these sort of like ongoing cultural conflicts within the family, and what was important to you, and trying to sort of balance those two things?
I think culture is made by people, right? And you have a different perspective. I have different perspective. The way that you grow up, the way that I grow up, give us different worldviews. So back then, they had reason for them not to like the country nor the people coming from the country. And my job was to, if I love Vivian enough, if I'm willing to take that challenge, I would be able to, demonstrate through the daily actions and showing them the different world views or different perspective from our ends, and inviting them into that journey also, right? And so it's daily we work and we show them the different part of Vietnam now, the different part of our people there. And I think the deep root also, they worry about, the stability of our relationship between Vivian and I. So the more they see that relationship starting to fruitful and continue to solidify over the years, then, well, the confidence grow up. And one day we say, okay, we're gonna go back to Vietnam, and we share them the story of why we want to go back to Vietnam also. So I share with them, when I was little, I saw a lot of foreigners coming to our country, and then they taught English here. They built factories in here. They brought technologies in here. They brought the different things to this country, and they've been able to travel the world, go into a country right after the war and started to build things up, right? And now we are Vietnamese. Why wouldn't we go back to where we're from and start to do something for ourselves, for the people here? And with time, that confidence again will grow up and give us the permission to go there. And so small thing at the time, every single day, and that's how you build the confidence and well, for the people around you.
Yeah, yeah. And also what I'm hearing is you knew that the most important thing was sort of creating connection and sharing what was important to you, and that you wanted to share that with your parents, and like through your actions, it expanded the perspective of your family as well, and so fast forward now to 2021. You and Vivian have been living there. You're a global family. We just talked before we even started the show how you have 3 children. They are going to school in the US in different parts, which is amazing. And you travel all over the world constantly. You're meeting new people all the time. So how did you decide in 2021, we want to embark on this project to learn from others, to grow our perspective, to interview people across the world? What were you seeking? What were you looking for at that time?
I didn't have any idea of how it's going to look like at the beginning, right? So I remember vividly that afternoon. So that's the last day before the whole country got locked down because of the COVID-19. So under
Mm,
that situation, we know that the next day, everybody gonna stay home. If I want to go out and meet my client, I couldn't. If I wanted to go out and exercise, I couldn't. If I want to go out and have beers with my friends or so, I could not, right? And at the same time, I want to uh, I want to maximize the possibility that I can add values to other people at the same time for me and the people closest to my family. So the question ran into my head back then was, what is that I could do? That within the setting up the home, I'd be able to add values for myself and for the people around me. So the idea of interviewing people came up because I've been listening to podcasts before that, because I've been watching YouTube to explore opportunity or possibility of learning new things before that. So I asked myself and I asked Vivian, if the people, amazing people out there were able to do that themselves, how could they do that? And if we want to do it like that, like them, right? How could we start? So, so we started asking questions. That's very same questions to other people in our networks. And there was a lady agreed to join me for the first day, which is the next day. And I didn't not have the equipment, nor have anything at all. All I had was Microsoft Teams and the ability to record the conversation. So we set the time for the next day. Then the next day, all I received was a text from her saying she couldn't join the program. And so, all reason for us to cancel the program, all reasons for us to say, okay, maybe it's not something that we could do. And at that moment, I asked Vivian, if we give up, so how would we become? So I connect to my ex-boss, who she's a Thailand boss that I used to have, and she oversaw Vietnam and Thailand back into the time that I was with the organizations. And I say, okay, I know it's early for you. I know you have a lot of things that you need to do. Can you help me to join this program and start? Give me 1 hour. And she agreed. And we start from 0 to 1, and the rest is history.
amazing. I love the sort of fork in the road where you could have just given up and said, you know what, this is not going to work. This person's falling through, forget about this. A lot of people just give up right then and there, right? Like it's too much effort, but you didn't, right? And that makes all the difference. So we are reaching an ad break. And when we come back, I would love to learn more about like, how did you get to connect with some of these extraordinary people over time? There's a lot of sort of confidence that is involved in that. So you are listening to The Hard Skills with me, Dr. Mira Brancu, and our guest, Nguyen. We air on Tuesdays at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. At that time, you can find us live streaming on LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, all over the place, and at talkradio.nyc. And we'll be right back with our guest in just a moment.
Are you a conscious co-creator? Are you on a quest to raise your vibration and your consciousness? I'm Sam Leibowitz, your conscious consultant, and on my show, The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, we will touch upon all these topics and more. Listen live at our new time on Thursdays at 12 noon Eastern Time. That's The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, Thursdays, 12 noon on talkradio.nyc.
Are you a high-achieving, growth-oriented leader? Are you interested in developing your authentic leadership while creating a healthy, inclusive workplace? Hi, I'm Dr. Mira Brancu, host of The Hard Skills on talkradio.nyc at 5 p.m. Eastern on Tuesdays, where we discuss how leaders develop the hard skills needed to make a greater impact. We interview experts, have live coaching, and tackle these challenges. Listen to The Hard Skills on Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern on talkradio.nyc.
Are you a purpose-driven individual looking for deeper healing, clarity, and growth? Welcome to the Expansion Room, a transformative space for purpose-driven individuals. I'm Siobhan Larice, host, licensed therapist, and coach. Join me every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on talkradio.nyc.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC. Uplift, educate, empower.
Welcome back to The Hard Skills with me, Dr. Mira Brancu, and our guest today, Nguyen. So, you have now talked to over 1,200 people globally, and some of the people that you've talked with are like astronauts, Nobel Prize winners, Holocaust survivors, people that like I admire, Daniel Goleman, Marshall Goldsmith, like, people that I didn't know about that now I admire and I've connected to because of your show. And the first question before we hear about just like the lessons learned, which I really want to get into, is how did you get up the confidence to just ask some of these folks to be on your show? What did you do? How did you find them? How did you decide this is the person I want on my show? I'd love to hear kind of a little bit of behind the scenes.
Wow. You asked me the question, but 4 years ago, I didn't have the answer. All right, Mira. So again, I started the program with the intention that we are going to be under lockdown for 1 month. So for that 30 days, I want to have maximize my times with interviewing other people and bring their stories. And then the purpose was to bring some inspirations to motivate people during challenging times, right? And during such time, people stay home. So they'll be able to connect and learn from the real people and their real stories. And amazing people, we always have amazing stories to share. So you can learn directly from them, and so you can reflect and do something with your life during challenging times. So that was the original plan. And like babies, when you're running bicycle, you have to take baby steps, right? So I start with the people in my network, one at a time, one at a time, one at a time, until one day I sat there with Vivian and I say, okay, if we keep doing this, we're gonna circulate the people within our network, and we're gonna go with the same old all over, right? So if we want to go for higher, like profiles, or for different profile or people around the world, what can we do? What could we do? What should we do? So we ask questions. right? And I sat there with a pen and a piece of paper and the books, the list of books that I've been reading and I love reading, right? And I note down the names of the books I really admire. Marshall Goldsmith came first, okay, because that book changed my life. So I said, okay. I wrote down a lot of names in there, and as a salesperson, I am used to get, to be friend with people say no, along the way. So it's okay.
True, yeah.
Yeah. So, but then it's really hard for me to, to find a good reason to email Marshall. So it took me about 3 days or 4 days. I couldn't remember. So every night, that very same question came up to my head. What am I saying to Marshall? What am I going to Marshall? What am I saying to Marshall, right? Until one night I woke up at 2 o'clock in the morning and say, I don't want that same question to circulate in my head anymore. I want to get it out of my head. So I emailed him at 2 o'clock, all right, in the morning. And I say, hey, Marshall, I'm Ha, sending this email from a small, tiny country in Southeast Asia. You don't know me. I'm a big fan of you. I've been reading your books, not once, but many, many times, changed my life. I bought a bunch of your books to give it to my friends, my colleagues, my clients, and this is the program that I've been doing. This is the purpose of why I'm doing that. And I don't know if you're gonna read these emails or not. I hope that you do. And if you read this email, I would love to have a chance to interview you for the program. And I hit send. I prayed the Lord. The next morning, and like at 5 o'clock, I woke up. I received an email from him, the amazing Marshall. So he's the first person that kicked off the whole, journey for me to interview people internationally, and gave me the confidence that yes, if Marshall Goldsmith is able to do that, then I should be able to approach more people to ask for their participation into the program. And just after that, I started email one person to the next person, email one person to the next person. I still got a lot of no's. When you first started program, people they don't know who you are, they don't know what you do, and that's a lot of things for people to say no to also. And then that is the challenging time, the COVID-19 time. So it's affect everybody around the world, right? So that time we'll be busy for other things also. So why joining a small little boy and little girl from Vietnam, Vivian, huh? But then when you have one, then you have another one, then you have 10, then you have 100, then you have 500, then you have more stories to tell people. And that give them the confidence that, hey, this time Vivian is trying to do something good for the world. And they're starting to say yes even more. And they're starting to refer their friends, the people in their networks for us. And see, that's a beauty of life. I learned a lot from that journey.
Yeah, I love that. And I think the thing that really worked that I'm hearing is just being really genuine. You sent a very thoughtful, genuine email that wasn't about some generic pitch, but really specific to each person, right? And that makes a big difference. And you happen to catch, I think, Marshall Goldsmith at a time that he's very interested in legacy, making an impact, thought philanthropy. I was part of his Forefront program, so I've gotten a chance to hear a lot of his philosophy and where he is, what he's thinking about. And I think that also makes a difference. People who have kind of been at the peak and are now at a place where they want to share, they want to give, they want to mentor and give back, are perfect for your show, right? So given that, what are some things that you've learned from, as you're thinking about and reflecting on the themes that you've extracted from so many interviews globally? What are some things that they have in common about their, extraordinary lives or the impact that they've made? And what maybe were some surprises?
Wow. I think that there's a few things to share. Okay. And the first thing is that they're very curious. I think that they're very curious in any part of the journey that they've been through. They always ask a lot of questions to help them to expand, the knowledge and the experience that they could have at that particular stage. And also they'd be curious to see what else that they can add values to other people in their circles and outside their circles. So that's one of the things that make them amazing. And the
Mhm.
second thing is, the more I spoke to, I spoke to many people around the world, the more I see how beauty those people, because of their kindness. I think they're always on the on the position ready to help people, and like it's like a button inside each of them, that willingness to extend help, to help people and lift up people, and when they see that these people will be able to do something good for other people. So I really admire for that one. The positive energy every time, every time that I spoke to Mira, I will have the energy enough lasting for me for the next 7 days. That's what I always talk to my wife. You say, every time that you talk to amazing people like that, you always receiving so much energy back, so that
Yeah.
that such energy will be able for you to not only like keep it for yourself, you can always share it with other people around, right? And one of the biggest surprise for me is, I always thought that it's very hard to approach really high profile people until I tried.
Mm.
And I know that they're always there, and they're always there to help. So for those who listen to this program, have the confidence to reach out, and you will always be surprised at how ready they are when you reach out to them. Yeah.
I think that's so important, that, sometimes the only reason we haven't reached those sort of intangible goals that we set for ourselves is not that we haven't tried. It's literally because we haven't tried, right? And if we just tried and we're willing to face the potential for rejection, as something that is not the worst thing in the world, and just keep going, it's amazing how much you'll surprise yourself, right?
Yeah.
So I love that. Yeah, go ahead, Ha. Yeah.
And I think that every rejection is an opportunity for us to learn and fight too also. Every rejection that we got, my wife and I sat down, seriously look at the way we send the message, the way we approach, and even the timing, the words that we use, and how much we know about individual that we ask for, for participating to our program. And so much in there that we learn about our ignorance, about the way that we can make improvement in the future. So I think learning opportunities everywhere if we're willing to see it.
Yeah. That's a great point, that it's not only about being willing to face rejection and try again. There's something in between and try again. And that is learn something from the rejection and use it for the next time you try again to adjust. And boy, I can share a million stories of rejection and trying again, but it was always in between that time to try again, always, like you said, evaluating deeply, what could I change or tweak about my attempt when I try it again? And even now, as I started the Leadership Academy 2 years ago, and that was a startup. I didn't realize it was a startup until I, entered it. And, I have beta tested lots of different things about it to make it better and better, or to improve, how people are receiving it and thinking about it. So absolutely agree with you. It's that middle piece about learning from what didn't work to try it again in a different way to see if it could work. So we're nearing an ad break. You're listening to The Hard Skills with me, Dr. Mira Brancu, and our guest today, Nguyen, and we will be right back in just a moment.
Misalignment within your sales team or with the client stalls deals and creates unnecessary friction for you and the client, resulting in up to 37% lower win rate. If you're in pre-sales, sales, sales management, or sales enablement, and you'd like to increase revenues, win rate, margins, client satisfaction, and stay competitive, this show is for you. Hi, I'm Art Fromm, host of the Making Seamless Sales Show. Please join me live Thursdays at 7 p.m. Eastern on talkradio.nyc.
Hey everybody, it's Tommy D, the nonprofit sector connector, coming at you from my attic. Each week here on talkradio.nyc, I host a program, Philanthropy in Focus. Nonprofits impact us each and every day, and it's my focus to help them amplify their message and tell their story. Listen each week at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time until 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on talkradio.nyc.
Hi, I'm Linda Marsanico. The A Train to Sedona is a memoir about my journey to love and compassion. It's also the name of my new broadcast on Wednesdays at 12 noon. When we are spiritual, we embrace possibilities and ideas, which strengthen our mind, body, spirit, health, and wisdom. On the A Train to Sedona broadcast, I plan to interview guests who embrace these expansive practices. Join us on Wednesdays at 12 noon on Talk Radio New York City.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC at www.talkradio.nyc. Now broadcasting 24 hours a day.
Welcome back to The Hard Skills with me, Dr. Mira Brancu, and our guest today, Nguyen. Is there anything that these interviews have changed about both how you think about life, how you raise your children, and or how you think about the work that you do with leaders?
So many.
Mm.
So, yes. And thank you for asking that wonderful question. This is an opportunity for me to send my appreciation back to all the participants on my programs for sharing their amazing journey that inspiring a lot of people, me included, of course, and those learning lessons that has shaped us to become better individual also. So for each conversation, I think, Mira, is an opportunity for us to have a deep reflection time to really think about, like how this individual overcoming their challenge. And challenge is part of life, right? So you have your own challenge, I had my challenge. And when we look at the challenge from the other person's perspective and how to see them, they overcoming those challenges, you also learn a lot from those experience and related to your situations, and you build the dictionary of case studies, put it that way. In the future, if you're facing the same, you say, okay, oh, Mira talked to me about that, or Marshall have been giving such advices and help you to calm. It is very important for you to find that calmness and to think clearly, and before you make up your mind, make up a decision. So the more I talk to people, the more that I been able to see, myself got a lot more calmer, and a lot of stories for me to be able to share to myself, and to my daughters, to my son, to my wife, and to the people around us, so that we can learn from those amazing people that we got a chance to talk to.
Yeah, I agree. We do learn through other people's challenges and growth and what it took. And it's not like we would be able to take the same path, right? But it does give us greater perspective. And storytelling, I think, is one of the ways that humans learn best and retain the information. And learning about stories from people with very different backgrounds, facing very different challenges, helps us have a different kind of grounding, right? Even, right now, a lot of people, ask me, like, how do you stay hopeful or grounded right now in such disruption and uncertainty? And some of it is because I look to my parents or other people who have been through it too, right? And thinking about not just like one tiny point in time, but lots of experiences across history. My parents lived through a very, very different time. And so I ask them, how do you stay grounded and calm and take perspective right now? And then I take that and infuse it into my experiences, and then I pass that on, right? So that's what I'm hearing from you. And it's just that you've created a structure around collecting those stories and experiences and knowledge and wisdom through people.
Yeah, I think when we have something challenging, right? So we tend to see that the world go against us, so everything turns their backs on us. So our problem seems to be huge, right? But then when we listen to stories from other people and started to see how, because, challenge happen to everybody, right? So when you start to listen to other people about their life stories, and you start to realize that, oh, they're also facing with problems, and this is how they deal with those problems, and they give you the confidence to go back into your situation and start to, really look at your problem and, okay, what is it that I'm facing with? So if that person I just listened to facing with this particular problem, how he or she gonna, solve these issues, right? And if they could solve their issue, what the secret behind it that help them to overcome those challenges? And if I want to solve my issue here, okay, what can I learn from the sharings over here for me to apply in here to help me to overcome those problems? And with times, you build your ability to problem solve, right? You build your confidence, and also is you build hope. That's very important in me, because I think when you starting to see, okay, you can solve problems, then you have the hope, in the future that you're going to be able to solve bigger problem, more problems, and you're ready for that. You build the muscle up to solve those things, and you start to grateful more in life, because it's not only you facing problems. Everybody's facing problems, and it's our job is to deal with that when it comes. So that's it.
Yeah, that's right. I think what you're doing also is humanizing people that we often tend to put on a pedestal and turn into perfect, right? Like, that's the perfect person, and I'm intimidated because they're extraordinary and they're amazing and they've accomplished these things I could never accomplish. And therefore, it makes it very difficult to connect and understand or even imagine the possibility that we could be like them, right? And what you're doing is kind of extracting how they're human too. I mean, extraordinary people are human too, with their own fallibilities and their own, challenges that they've gone through. So I would love to hear more about how can we take what you've learned about curiosity, working through rejection, kindness and generosity, and small, tiny habits every day. How can we take those elements that you've extracted from these experiences to build that extraordinary life, or open up the possibilities for ourselves, whether as individuals or as leaders within organizations or within an entire organization? How can we do that?
Yeah, that's such a beautiful question, and thanks for asking that. I think each of us, we have our own way to experience the world, and so I share my way. I share the word, the experience that changed my life. So that I will credit to a gentleman from Ireland. His name is Ken Hughes. So people call him the the keynote customer experience. And back in 2019, I listened to his TED Talk. So that call is 365 days challenge. So you take on the challenge for 1 year, okay? And the title of that is 360 Days and how you can unveil the curiosity and time bending. So when I look at the title, I say time bending. Time is something you cannot bend, right? And I got my curiosity from that title of his TED Talks, and I listened to it. So basically, he shared the journey for him to transform by doing one little small thing that is new completely every single day. So you do today one thing, then tomorrow you do the different thing. The next day you do it. It doesn't have to be the big thing, small thing, but one thing new. And to be honest with you, at first I thought it's easy. So I invite a lot of people to join. Everybody got excited about the new and exciting project, right? And in 2 weeks, a few people only left for the program. In few months, only me and my wife on the program. And because discipline is really, really hard to do, and the excitement, we have to manage it, okay? Every single day, you have to think about the one new thing to do. And in your busy day, if you don't block into your schedule to have that under your calendar, then you'll be easy to be carried by, the daily activities, the daily routines that you have, right? So every single day we try something new. We went to a new coffee shop. We read book backwards. We write by the left hand. We went to a new bookstore to buy books. We attended seminar in a language that we didn't even know anything about what they're talking about. We met the people in a different like industry just to see what we can exchange knowledge, and those change the way that we really see the world and we see ourselves. And the beautiful thing about that one is by the time that day 365 reach, okay, my wife and I sat down at the very quiet time at night, and that night we say, okay, are we going to continue this challenge? Knowing that it's only, challenge for 365 days. Now we reach the destinations. We can stop here, but what if we continue? What if we make it 3,650 days? What if we make it every day from now to the rest of our life? The goal is us to decide, right? It's not Ken to decide. He shared an idea, but how we implement that idea is us. And for the listeners there, everything that you listen to, you read or you watch, or every good story that you hear that inspire you to do, the power is in the doing. How deep you're doing with that, how deep you going with that, and how commitment you are with that will tell different about who you are and the works you're gonna show up in the world. So
incredible. We are reaching an ad break. When we come back, I would love to hear, you described how you did one new thing very specifically in the 365 days. I have a question about what would count and what would not count in that kind of do one new thing when we come back from the ad break. You're listening to The Hard Skills with me, Dr. Mira Brancu, and our guest today, Ha Nguyen, and we'll be right back.
On Frank About Health, we're not just talking healthcare. We're managing disruption and innovation. Over the last 4 years, I've taken you from epilepsy and COVID to mental health, caregiving, and now the front lines of healthcare transformation. Stay tuned for a healthier future as we bring on the innovators, professionals, storytellers, and advocates who show you how to own your healthcare every Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on talkradio.nyc.
Ready to serve up success with a splash? Hi, I'm Bruce Kramer, a.k.a. the Corporate Cockroach.
I'm the Renaissance woman, Angie Snowball.
And I'm your strategy doctor, Dr. Mel Tapes DeSange, inviting you to serving up success with a splash.
Join us as we shake things up with real talk and real strategies centered around awareness, action, and accountability.
And yes, there really is a cocktail involved. Please join us and sip your way to success.
serving up success with a splash, where wisdom meets happy hours. Cheers! Cheers!
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC at www.talkradio.nyc. Now broadcasting 24 hours a day.
Welcome back to the hard skills. I love listening to the serving up success with a splash ad. It's hilarious. Always makes me laugh. They have so much fun. Okay, so one follow-up question from where we left off, which is you described doing some very different things every day, writing with your left hand and, trying to, read a different kind of book and, those kind of things. What would count and what would not count? For example, you interviewed a different person every day. Does that count? Or is it because you're doing interviews all the time that it doesn't count anymore? What counts and what doesn't count when it comes to this challenge?
Well, Mira, I remember our conversation. You talk about accountability partner and how you love about accountability partner. And I thanks to Vivian for being my accountability partner. So we set out the goal, one new thing every day. And I hold her accountable for, to be my accountability partner to make sure that I do one new thing a day. Same for her, right? So if I interview you and tomorrow I interview somebody else, it's still an interviewing process. If we we have to honor our commitment, so if I interview Mira in the US and I interview Mira in Switzerland, then I count because a different country, different perspective and stuff. And that's how we reach out to different 83 countries. And our goal for this year is to make sure now to the end of the year, we're going to reach out to another 17 countries. So we're going to map the country that in the future, Vivian and I will travel to visit and be able to meet the people there, right? And so when during our conversation, you talk about accountability partner, so it's really, really triggered to me and Vivian and say, see, this is something that Mira have been telling us to do in advance. So we've been doing that. And every time that I in the gray area, then I'm not sure whether or not it should be counting as new. Then I say, okay, would that count it as new? And she would never answer me yes or no. So always ask me, how my feeling about that is. So if my feeling about that is maybe not, then that must be a no. But if my feeling tell me that, hey, this is something that worth to count as something new for today, then we talk about that. Then we start talking about whether or not it can consider as new thing. And so sometimes we had good debates between husband and wife for a long time until the 11 at night, and they said, I will counting it. If it's not counting, let's find something for that last 1 hour during the day to make sure that we hit the commitment that we have every day. And it makes the journey really exciting, and it's make me feel like it's a learning opportunity, tiny learning opportunity every single day. We have to work for it, Mira. So it's not like something that you let it come to you, but you have to really proactively looking for opportunity to learn something every day.
I love that because there's a certain level of integrity involved in not just phoning it in and saying, yeah, I did it, check it off the list, but you're actually evaluating whether it meets the criteria, which means that it's keeping it as a high priority and that it's really important to you, that it's truly assessed as new. And I'm curious, what you mentioned, like it's really changed you in terms of how you both see the world and kind of how you go about engaging in the world. If we were to translate this to what leaders and organizations can get out of this, right? As a like hard skill muscle that's worth growing. Why is it worth growing? What could they get out of engaging in a practice like this?
Wow, I haven't think of this question. So thank you for asking. So if I understand the question correctly, let me rephrase it so that I have the same understanding. So what leaders could use this experience of embracing, small little thing every day to bring something change for their organizations? Am I correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
I think the world is constantly changing, right? The knowledge that we have yesterday is going to expire tomorrow. Don't say about a month or so. So it's going to be expired, it's going to be changing in the next 24 hours. And if leaders keep hanging on to the knowledge, to the experience that we've been having, to the past success and histories, right? Then what if we're leading into the people into the wrong direction, right? And so curiosity is very important. And I saw a lot of leaders when they're young, they're very, very curious to explore newness, exploring the world, exploring different part of their jobs, how it's connecting to one another, and what else they could do, add on to the equations, right? And that perhaps make them great leaders into what they've been doing. And eventually, when they got into that ladder, that position, then the corporate responsibility, what they can say, with what they cannot say, there's so many things that restrict their ability to do something. And then the curiosity level is just dropping and dropping and dropping, right? And we in the workforce that very diverse these days, and with a lot of different people from different part of the world, from different genders, different like generations also. So if the leaders stay with the past experience, stay with the past knowledge, and not really open into newness, perhaps they're not gonna lead the organization to the to the next level, and they become the bottlenecks for the organization. And that's why Vivian and I founded the platform called helloNEWNESS. And the reason for that is we have the sunrise every day. We have some the new airs, new things that for us to experience every day, where we can embrace it and then bring it back into our life, bring it back, that newness, that drive for newness when we were young, into the works that we do every single day. Imagine that, how much energy we can bring for the people around us, for ourselves also. Yeah.
Beautiful. Loved it. And I'll add that what I'm hearing as well is if you practice doing one thing new each day, that is a way to practice adaptive leadership, a resilient leadership style, expanding possibilities, problem solving. You can be a consistent, calming presence and also be really good at adapting, being resilient, expanding the possibilities for how to resolve a very complex challenge. And right now, the challenges that we face require complex, adaptive ways of being, right? And that means you can't use old, things that worked in the past. Tried and true things are no longer tried and true because things are changing too fast. Instead, we've got to have this sort of like adaptive mindset. And these are the ways that you can, develop that. So in addition to the program that you mentioned, helloNEWNESS, you could also find Nguyen and his wife and all their work on the growth insights at YouTube. So you just, if you're watching right now, you can find it on YouTube. There's so many videos, so many awesome videos. You can just go through. Oh, there I am. There's my head. But look at all of these amazing videos that you can find there. So definitely find them. And audience, what did you take away? What did you take away? More importantly, what is one small change or many new time changes you can implement this week and moving forward based on what you learned from Ha? Share it with us on LinkedIn. Share it with us at talkradio.nyc so we could cheer you on. Talkradio.nyc is also on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, Apple, Spotify, Amazon Podcasts, all over the place. If today's episode resonated with you, share it with a colleague, leave a review. And remember, the Anti-Burnout Leadership Lab, the half-day workshop, or the Strategic Leadership Resilience Accelerator is opening up right now. Registration starts now. Get on my newsletter at gotowerscope.com or find me on LinkedIn to learn more. Thank you, Talk Radio to NYC, for hosting. Together, we will navigate the complexities of leadership, just like Ha shared with us today, and emerge stronger on the other side. Thank you for joining me and Noi Ha Nguyen today on this journey. This is Dr. Mira Brancu signing off. Until next time, stay steady, stay present, and keep building those hard skills muscles. Bye, everybody.
Bye.